In this video, I'm going to go over the top 5 shock spots in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. The main reason why I'm going through my top 5 rather than a top 10, or just however many good shock spots there are, is because a lot of the good shock spots in this game are pretty much carbon copies of each other. I think these 5 shock spots stand out from the rest since they're much more than simply shocking after boxes and or target shocking. Oh yeah, your boy also got a new microphone, so you already know we're giving her full throttle. Anyways, without further ado, let's start giving her, bud. Coming in at number 5 is chaining shock into the second set on Shy Guy Falls. I originally thought this shock spot was number 2, but having a ton of track left between second set and the finish line on top of a glider section, I just don't think there's much of an advantage to this shock spot than what first meets the eye. Even so, this shock spot is still very powerful. Your opponents who get shocked in front of you won't be able to take the ending cut unless they can do the shroomless, which could be quite the struggle if you're approaching it small, even if you use the super mini turbo method. Either way, being able to take the ending cut with an item is much more powerful than taking it itemless, even if it's comfortably possible. Having that advantage, as well as the ability to target shock some people in the very front, makes this shock spot a very good one and is absolutely worth taking advantage of if you pull shock on this track. Next up at number 4 is chaining into the last set on Twisted Mansion. At first, this shock spot doesn't seem that valuable because you don't even target shock people off the track, but in reality, under the right circumstances, this shock spot goes hard. Getting shocked on the glider section will force you to take the bottom path, which is a lot slower. While you'll avoid any chaos that takes place up top, it'll still be really bad for you. On top of that, you won't have any items to take the ending cut, while the shock user most likely will. There's just a lot that can go wrong if you get shocked here, and it's pretty obvious that this is a race flipping shock spot. So if you pull shock on Twisted Mansion, if you can hold onto it, chain your shock into the last set, and you'll be in an amazing spot going into the end game of the race. Starting off the top 3 is chaining your shock into the last set on Cloud Top Cruise. What makes this shock spot unique from the other target shock spots in this game is that even if you don't get target shock, there is still a very good chance that you'll be in a terrible situation. That's because taking the ending cut can be super awkward just after getting shocked, and if people catch up to you and you're stuck in the pack, it'll be GG from there. So most people just opt to drive around the shortcut. Now, there is a pretty big gap between the glider ramp and the landing zone, so if you get target shocked, you're in for quite a horrible ending of a race under the right circumstances for the shock user. That, the inability to take the ending cut in most cases, and the amount of time between the last set and the finish line makes this easily one of the best shock spots in the game and rightfully earns its spot at number 3 on this list. Just missing the number 1 spot is chaining your shock into the second set on Cheeseland. This shock spot is almost perfect. Your opponents who get shocked after boxes will not have items to take the double glider cut, and they'll instead have to rely on an item or two at the last set to take the ending glider cut. And even then, that's not a guarantee. Even if you only have triple shrooms after using shock, you'll still be in an amazing position going into the end game of the race. Being able to take the first, then the second glider cut is a pretty big deal when most of the room is not able to do so. I think the only downside to this shock spot is that there's a lot of track left in between the second set and the finish line, and again, your opponents could still take the ending cut if they pull a shroom at the last set. But that aside, this is an amazing shock spot and should absolutely be utilized if you don't have to hold it for a long period of time. However, there is one more shock spot that easily smacks this one out of the park. Let's check it out. The best shock spot in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is chaining into the second set on Hyrule Circuit. You'd think this would be just an average shock spot when first looking at it, but you gotta look a little closer. When front running, you need to take this shroomless shortcut, which saves about a second over going around, but by doing so, you skip the last set. This means that if you get shocked after second set, you won't get another item for the rest of the race unless you decide to go around. On top of this, by chaining shock here, you'll have a massive advantage just by having items to take that shortcut, because it's obviously much faster to shroom through the cut than taking it shroomless. If you need to flip a race, this is by far the most reliable shock spot to do so. It's comparable to the Cheeseland second set shock, but unlike that shock spot, this one forces people to either take the ending shroomless cut and not have an item for the rest of the race, or go around the shortcut to get an item, thus losing a whole second, which can mean a lot in a lap 3 situation. There's nothing else to say here really. Chaining shock into the second set on Hyrule Circuit is the best shock spot in the game. So please, don't target shock your opponents over the glider section before the second set. You will regret it. I hope you got something out of this video. If you did, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like the video and subscribe if you haven't already. And there you have it. We're finished with the summary videos on how to play Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I have a few more educational videos in mind for the future, but I'd expect much more entertainment during the week since that is the main theme of this era, so look forward to that. Oh yeah! Let me know how you feel about this new microphone. I tweaked a few things after getting it, and honestly, it sounds incredible. And I really hope you guys are looking forward to hearing this more often. But until next time, thank you so much for watching. Have yourselves a fantastic day, and keep on giving her, bud.